Yes, I really do make my own diesel fuel out of used motor oil and gasoline. And I'll tell you how I filter it, mix it, and process it. For starters, this will not run in any diesel engine newer than 2000. I'm not going to be responsible for any damages to your injectors or motor if you do not mix it or filter it properly. Third, I'm not going to be responsible for any legal problems in your state or county. Every state has different laws and regulations on what kind of fuels you can run. I'm not going to do the research on every state out there. I did my research for here in Pennsylvania. Everything I'm doing is legal. So you have to look up your own laws in your own states and counties and stuff like that. You're going to need a oil pump. This is a 120 psi, 20 gallons per minute, 120 volt AC gear oil pump. So this is the pump I use to go pick up the motor oil from the local garages. So you have your pickup hose with a screen and about a 20 feet hose. And I pump that oil in my what I call raw motor oil totes. You can see how filthy and dirty the oil is right there stuck to the side still. The next pump you're going to need is a small little 12 volt DC oil pump. You know, it doesn't have the slower the better, you know. But as long as it can pump straight motor oil, that's the next pump you need. The pump you're going to need is a wall-mounted pump with a gallons or meters on it so you can fill up your vehicles or machines. This one broke on me last week. I haven't gotten a new one, but that's to pump out of these totes when the fuel is done into my truck and my machines. Next, you're going to need an old wet dry vac. Doesn't really matter what size, as long as it's a wet dry vac. So once you get all those things, you just need a few other little odds and ends. I'll go through them once I get to those points. So, sorry my shed is really dirty right now. It's really messy, but you could deal with it. So I set one of the raw used motor oil totes in my shed. I let it sit between 1 to 2 weeks minimum. That's very important for any water, metal, dirt, carbon, anything like that to settle to the bottom. Take that little 12 volt DC pump I told you about in the previous video. On the pickup hose, I have a little piece of steel pipe to weigh it down. So what I do is I put it all the way to the bottom of the tote. You can feel it when it hits the bottom. Pull it up about 5 inches and then put something heavy to hold it down. Like that. So it doesn't drop down any further down in the tote. I pump it out of my raw motor oil tote through this hose. Make sure you have hose clamps so it doesn't come apart. That's why I had an oil mess in here. Into this 25-gallon drum. The hole in the bottom I cut into it. And an old bed sheet with a rat strap holding it off the bottom so it acts as a screen. So this is just an old bed sheet just ratchet strapped in the barrel, holding it up off the bottom so it's not on the bottom. Now what happens over time as this gets filled with garbage like hair, dirt, stuff like that, it starts clogging up. And see how it's not draining out of the filter? I'll show you how I clean it so I don't have to change this bed sheet. So this shows you how much crap just the bed sheet filters out. It's like grease. Bed sheet is now clean, ready to filter some more oil. So I hook up the oil pump to the battery charger. I usually put it at 6 volts between 12 to 4 hours. So I just let her go. Where I left off was I put the battery charger on slow charge, 6 volts, and I usually do about 6 hours to start. And that just pumps the oil up into the drum. So between each session, the oil is going to get higher and higher and higher because the sheet gets more clogged up with dirt. So when it gets up about halfway, stop running oil, clean it out with a wet dry vac, and then start running the pump again. 6 hours, 4 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, until this gets clogged up again. So you can see how it's filtering through the bed sheet, out the hole I cut in the bottom of the barrel, into the tote. When the tote is full, let it sit for at least 2 weeks for anything that maybe got through to settle to the bottom, just like the raw motor oil tote. On this video, I'm going to start going over how to mix it and get the right mixture of gas and oil. This is my dipper to measure the viscosity of the oil and gas mixture. It's just an old paint can which I removed the valve where it's just a little hole in it. I cut the bottom of the paint can off so I can dip it down in, and I welded this little handle on it so I can dip it in. So after I mix the stale gas I get from the junkyard, the first stage filtered used motor oil, I put the right mixture in the tote. I mix it up with a homemade mixer that I can fit down into the tote to mix the gas and oil. So I use my dipper and I time how long it takes for the fuel to drain through the paint can. So that way I can add more oil or gas to the mix to get the right mixture I want. My big pump the stale gas I buy from the junkyard. It could be fresh gas too, but the mixture is going to change a little bit. So the mixture for my truck is 25 gallons of gasoline, and then I fill it up to 250 gallons with the first stage motor oil mixture, and that's when I mix it up. So that's a 10% gas to oil mix for people that are down south where it's warmer temperatures. For people up here up north, the mixture is going to be more like a 20% gas to 80% motor oil. But that's for running in your truck and machines. Now for home heating oil for houses, it's a different mixture. For houses, it's about 75 gallons of gasoline to 200 gallons of motor oil. And I check my viscosity. I want to go in a little bit more detail of the mixtures. So for my truck, it's about between 10 to 20% gas to oil. And for home heating oil, it's about 20 to 30% gas to oil mix for home heating oil. To verify the viscosity I'm trying to get, I know diesel takes 1 minute and 15 seconds to drain out of this paint can. So for my truck mixture, I wanted to drain out in about 1 minute and 40 seconds. And for home heating oil, I want it to be about 1 minute and 20 seconds to drain through this paint can. So that's how I verify the gas to oil mix. Remember what I said before, you take your raw motor oil, let it sit for 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks, let everything settle to the bottom, water, dirt, sludge, anything like that, and pump out the top 200 gallons. And then I was showing you how I pump it through this barrel with a bed sheet in it, and it just feeds down through gravity, and that filters a lot of sludge and crap. And let it sit in here for at least 2 weeks. And then you mix your gas and oil in this tote, and let it sit for at least 2 weeks. And then I usually pump it from this tote into this tote and let it sit for 2 more weeks. And after everything is said and done, everything is nice, clean and filtered. And you'll see at the bottom of each tote of all the crap and the filter you have to suck out with a wet dry vac, get all that sludge out. Leave a comment if you want to see more.